of the national fabric. And the next stage, from March 2013, November to March, was basically talking about our responsibilities as individuals, which was called Wajibu Wangu. And then from 2015, November 2015 to 2017, we now started talking about national values, accountability, transparency, and the leadership ethos. So this was now around Wajibu Wetu. So going from my responsibility to our collective responsibility as a nation. And you can see the evolution in terms of how this was coming through. And who are the stakeholders in Kenya Daima? It is inspired by the private sector, but it is for all Kenyans, bringing together various groups, including the business community, civil society, religious leaders, media, youth, and women leaders. So it brings everybody together. And because of that, it is not owned by somebody. It is owned by all of us together. What have we achieved in that time? If you look at our achievements over the period of time that Kenya Daima has been alive, we had a launch in 2012. We had, and soon after that, we started the debates, gubernatorial debates, the presidential debates. We had meetings with media owners, meeting with youth reps, development partners, religious council, all those various constituencies. We began to meet regularly to discuss what it is that we want for our country. And some of the other past achievements, and this is key in the Kenya Daima appeal, is that peace is at the heart of successful elections. And what we've done every election is to get our leaders and the citizens of this country who are willing to do so to sign the peace pledge. But more importantly, the leaders, because they are the ones who can make the biggest appeal for peace during the time when they are involved in electoral campaigns. So, the Kenya Daima 2022 has 3 pillars. First is a political pillar that talks about leadership and governance. The second one is the economic pillar that talks about a people-centered and economy-led manifestos. And that's what we're hoping to hear today from our gubernatorial candidate, Polycarp. And then the social pillar, which is the peaceful elections and the smooth transition into what we'd like to see as Kenyans. So, we seek to build more on the Wajibu Wangu and from Wajibu Wangu, which is my responsibility, to actually doing, quote, quote, my responsibility. Nitatenda Wajibu Wangu. I will exercise my responsibility. And that is partially in voting, in making sure that your voice is heard when people approach you politically. So what's the political pillar, the leadership and governance pillar? It's all about influencing the choice of leaders based on Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya, and experience and good performance. So we have to be careful about the leaders that we choose. And a good leader, as far as you're concerned, exhibits selflessness, respect for people, objectivity, integrity, accountability, openness, and honesty. To get the right leadership in place, we have to participate in electing transformative leaders who embrace those ideals. The economic pillar. This requires people-centered and economy-led manifestos, and focus and address the aspirations of the country and its citizens, and deliver on these aspirations whilst taking Kenya where it needs to be on a global platform. It's not just about doing things for Kenya as Kenya is, but it's about making Kenya grow bigger. Focus on global competitiveness and economic development, and then getting Kenyans to interrogate political manifestos, understand what leaders are promising to deliver, and most important, which we do not do, hold them accountable to their commitments. Too often we hear about elections, a lot of promises are made, and then Kenyans go back to business as usual. And we don't see change. It's because we do not hold our leaders accountable. And then finally, the integration of technology, blockchain systems, to improve efficiencies in the current systems, especially the public systems that are giving us service, so that the delivery of public service is done smoothly. And the last one is the social pillar, which is about peaceful elections and smooth transition. And this is around signing the peace pledge to declare that we support and elect purposeful leaders, leaders of integrity, rise to the challenge of improving the lives of Kenyans, take ownership and responsibility that will help my country achieve a value-based society, endeavor to speak truth to power and uphold the words of the national anthem. Though it was written before 1963, the words of that anthem still apply to us today. And then the key thing is around not being party to hate speech, incitement, ethnicity, or any other form of violence, whether it's verbal, physical, or written. And that one is what we want our political leaders to sign up to, the peace pledge, and all of us as well who are involved in that process. So, how far have we gone so far this year? We had the launch of the Kenya Daima campaign. We've had engagements with the various electoral management bodies, the IPOA, the ORPP, IEBC, and all those others. We have had an engagement on leadership practices. We had dinner with Her Excellency Ellen Sirleaf, the past president of Liberia. And then we've had stakeholder engagements with all the various partners, civil society, religious leaders, youth, private sector, and social media partners. And then we had an engagement with the leader of the Azimio la Umoja coalition. And then we presented the private sector manifesto to His Right Honorable Raila Odinga. We also had a presentation of the private sector manifesto to the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, led by His Excellency Dr. William Ruto. We've also had engagements with the AU COMESA EAC Election Observer Mission, the Pre-Election Assessment Mission, with the International Republican Institute and the National Democratic Institute, and also engagements with the NDICC, led by Dr. Matiang'i. And you can see all the other engagements that we've had with media and various influencers, social media, traditional media, newspapers. So there's a lot going on in terms of Kenya Daima. And what is it? It's a call to action to achieve the desired end results. Going from mimi ni Mkenya Daima. Je, wajibu wangu ni nini? Mimi ni Mkenya Daima. Ni wajibu wangu. And we have all those kupiga kura, kuchagua viongozi bora, na kuhimisha amani. Good leadership and accountable governance in place for a prosperous, thriving, and peaceful economy. At the end of it, mimi ni Mkenya Daima. Nitatenda wajibu wangu. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what Kenya Daima is to all of us. Thank you.
So, thank you. Just give me a minute. Media wants to set up. You can smile to your neighbor. Mguze kama ametosheka kidogo. Bado kuna chakula ili tuendelee na mkutano wetu. Tuko sawa sasa kuendelea na mkutano wetu. Thank you very much, Engineer Bath, for the presentation. I think we've all listened to it and started asking ourselves, wow, August 9th is here. What do we expect? And what do we want to see? And what is my responsibility? Because we have responsibilities as citizens of the country, and we also have responsibilities as institutions of this country to deliver our mandate. And with that one, there's something that Engineer Bath said. You remember he referred to Olympics, right? He mentioned about whenever there's a Kenyan, we all say we are Kenyans and we all smile when we see them run. For your information, is that today, the 23rd of June 2022, it is the Olympic Day. We are celebrating Olympics. And the theme of the day, which is in line with the day, is that together for a peaceful world. Don't you think it is in line with our aspirations? Yes? So with that, I want us to say, mimi ni Mkenya Daima, nitatenda wajibu wangu. That's the commitment we wish to see from everyone today. Tuko tayari? Let us go. Mimi ni Mkenya Daima, nitatenda wajibu wangu. So please remember the 3 items that you're supposed to do. Vote, get a good leader, and dumisha amani, because we want on 10th August we could come here and celebrate and continue with our life as if nothing happened, because the election will be a normal day. And to end that session, I want us to clap from where our leader comes from. A minute, we will clap this way. 1, 2, 3, but I will lead. You ready? Achiel, Ario, Adek, Angwen. Asante sana engineer. At this moment, I would wish to welcome our chair, Ms. Flora Mutahi. Please come and speak to us. Let us celebrate as she comes on stage. Karibu sana.
Good morning. Good morning. I think, Polly, I can say it's great to have you with us. I feel like we are preaching to the converted. We've walked this journey. Polly and I were actually inducted at KAM at the same day, maybe 10 years ago. It was a long, long time ago. And he obviously became chair before I did, and I followed in his footsteps. We did a lot with KEPSA. He has gone that way, and I guess I'm still here, so who knows? All right then, and I think as we were working with Polly also through those years, there are statements he made, and there are 2 very profound ones, and I think we use them all the time. I don't know them or he had them. Number 1 was, we always must speak truth to power. Because if you look at even the peace pledge that was there last, he was the one holding it the hardest and taking it and saying, sign here. We are not going to be scared for you to ask you, A, to sign the peace pledge, or 2, to challenge you. And the other one you used to mention a lot was politics is too important to leave to politicians. And that's really what we are doing here in the room. Of course, as you know, we are here presenting our manifesto, telling you what we want to see, because we've seen a lot of brokenness, we've seen a lot of promises, and nothing has been happening. I mean, she was challenging us and saying we need to hold our leaders to account. But I think we also need to lend our minds to how do we do that? Because, Polly, if we were to enter that office, we know the phone number might change. We know the secretary might change. We know all of a sudden it will be like, I hear you, I'll call you back. How do we also on this side of the divide really make sure that we keep a very close connection and we can do something to the leadership that we have? So I think that is a challenge I shall leave to you this morning. So because, Polly, I know you're a historian and an economist, I just want to leave you with a fun fact about this county that you're going to take into your hands. It began about 130 years ago. The whole city was just about a swampland where the Maasai community would actually come to water their livestock. So it was all a swamp. And in order to access Uganda from Mombasa, the British colonies actually set up a railway that passed through this swampland called Nairobi. And of course, you know, Nairobi means, it's a Maasai word that means the place of cool waters, because it was really a swamp. And as a resupply station, that is where the whole city foundation began. The first railway warehouse came into life in 1913 along Kenyatta Avenue, Loita, and that would later be called Kipande House in 1951. Quite a sad story, because this is where they used to issue Africans with identification cards called Kipandes. And it was meant to monitor the African movement, an era that Kenyans called the Kipande system. And why I'm calling it a sad story is we actually used to wear this identification card around our necks like a cowbell, which was after inserted with a bronze pass for the holders, and this is how they actually used to know the Africans are passing by. So in 1907, Nairobi replaced Mombasa as the capital. Nairobi replaced Mombasa as the capital of the East African Protectorate. And in 1919, Nairobi was declared to be a municipality. With those few, that is the past. We are living the present, and one of you will be taking us into the future. All the best, and I wish us good deliberations.
Thank you very much, our chair, Flora Mutahi. And from her speech, there's something that she has spoken about. And through her, as our chair, allow me to request all the chairmen that are present in the House and the directors that have worked directly with Mr. Polycarp Igathe to please stand up, we celebrate them. And even Mheshimiwa, atuwe tafadhali simama. Because you're once a director. Yes. Yes, all the directors within the business community, our chairmen, we celebrate you. And I will mention their names, and then we will all do a clap to celebrate the leadership that we have today. We have on my left, Mr. Nick Nesbitt is our former chair. We have our director, now he's a trustee. We have Mr. Francis Munyoki. We have our director, Engineer James Mwangi. We have the KEPSA chair, the KEPSA Foundation chair, Engineer Obath, with us. We have our CEO, Ms. Carol Kariuki, thank you very much. We have, to my right, we have Mr. Mushai Kunyiha, who is also our director. Definitely our chair, Ms. Flora Mutahi, our chairman, yes, that worked. And then definitely one of our director, Mr. Polycarp Igathe. Let us celebrate all of them, because indeed, that is the true honor of being leaders. We truly celebrate you. And to end that session, because we are people who celebrate diversity, I want us to clap in 4 again. And 4 is very significant, because to us, we give it to the highest level of leadership. So 4 is a significant number. You're waiting for the language, right? Mko tayari? Haya, lakini hatutaenda central. Nataka niwapeleke kidogo. Kwa vile leo ni siku ya wakimbiaji, nataka tufike huko, si ndio? Sawa? Haya, twende aenge. Aeng. Somo angwan. That is to you, our chair. You can continue. So we now invite our CEO, Ms. Carol Kariuki, to present the private sector manifesto. Karibu CEO, let us celebrate as she comes.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's really nice to be in a private sector meeting, because Polycarp is one of us. So I don't have to go into protocols and all that. And so it's really nice and it just feels like at home. But before I begin our manifesto and what we are aspiring for Nairobi, and this is just a brief of our aspirations. And since Polly was with us for the longest, he knows our structured engagements. So we don't want to be disturbing him with the phone if he gets to office. We want to be able to have a structured engagement where we know on a quarterly basis or bi-monthly we are meeting with the county and having an engagement. Then we can keep his phone for the rest of the public who will be disturbing every day. But before I start, I want to tell you 2 things or 3 things that remind, when we say Polycarp was among us and he left a mark in KEPSA. This used to be our logo before Polycarp. Yeah? So then Polycarp became one of our directors, and we said, no, KEPSA has grown. That can't be our logo. And he came up with a brilliant idea. I don't know how many people know what this logo stands for. You know, it's really about that KEPSA. Remember, we are an umbrella body, bringing all of you, the associations and the corporations together, and we all interact with each other. Then we are all different sizes. That's the reason why we also have all the different colors to symbolize all our different sizes. Then we all interact globally. You know, when you think about KEPSA and our work we do, it's not just about Kenya. We go around the world. We are esteemed around the world. We engage around the world, and that's the globe that symbolizes that. And so that's one of the things Polycarp left for us. You know, so thank you, Polly. We left a good mark. The second thing I just wanted to show you of a second thing that Polycarp left for us, if that photo could come. We had killed them. Okay, it's not Mushai. They've lost it. Then we killed it very well yesterday. Okay, I will go because I don't know where it is. So the second thing, which I really wanted us to have, anyway, was Amboseli, when we were discussing Kenya Daima. You know what Polycarp did? He went to the, what was it called, musical? The Kenya Music Conservatoire. Yes, the Permanent Presidential Music Conservatoire. And he looked for all those old songs that for the longest time, we used to think they belonged to the KANU regime. But when you listen to them, they're actually very patriotic. And so he made us listen to like 10 or 15 of them. And out of that, we all voted to the song Today We Sing of Kenya Daima. And he made sure that he worked very closely with Scanad and everyone until we produced the song. And so today, and we made sure it was sung around the country in all media houses. And what's so amazing, he not only left it for us as Kenya Daima, but the country. If you look at the current administration from 2013, the one song that never misses in any celebrations is the Kenya Daima song. But before that, we all associated it with a former regime until we listened to it and we realized, no, it's about us and our greatness. And I hope after this we'll play it as you see it plus the picture. So the team there, please be loading it so that you see it. And those were the days we spent cold nights, both in Mount Kenya and Amboseli, to birth Kenya Daima. And so a big hand to Polycarp for that. Another thing. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention again is when we were signing the peace pledges in 2017. And for those who are there, I will not give the story because many remember what we went through in Mombasa that time. And the president finally came. And when he came, we discussed, and Polycarp presented about Kenya Daima and made sure the president, I don't know if that picture is still there. I think we had queued it also last night. So I don't know where it is, but it's okay. I'm sure it will be shown at some point. He made the president sign. So the peace pledge that you see as highlighting as part of our Kenya Daima presentation was signed by His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. And Polycarp led that. So just a few things. There he is, as he made sure the president signed the peace pledge, and that's what and made sure that we used that to make other leaders to sign on the peace pledge. So just a few tips. You did a lot, Polycarp, for us, but just wanted to highlight some of those 3 areas that are very diverse, but also very relevant to our conversation today. So thank you. So going into my presentation, and I'll move very quickly. I won't go into a lot of the introduction because I said I'm preaching to the converted. So sorry, Polycarp, for the team that you have come with. The ones who don't know KEPSA, they'll have to go and read a little bit, at least on the website, because I won't go into the details. But let me just say, over the last 18 years, KEPSA has been able to bring the private sector together and provide leadership in policy and legislative advocacy, but also the whole economic development and country development in the country. And so we bring around 90 business associations and over 450 corporates, but we also host ICC Kenya. And through ICC Kenya, we're able to reach at least if we need to, 45 million businesses around the world. And that's what gives us the global impact, because we have a big reach of people we can work with around the world. As I said, we work on very structured engagements, and so I will not go through that. Again, we'll circulate this for those who don't have it, just to see how we are organized and why we work on a structured engagement. And people say, why don't you just meet the government or whoever you need to meet on ad hoc? You can never measure anything on ad hoc. You need to be structured, work on a document, and that's why we developed the National Business Agenda. So these manifestos are all going into the National Business Agenda, so that when we say holding your leaders accountable on our structured engagement, we will engage them on these things that we presented to them, so that when they say they don't remember, we remind them. We'll have the pictures of today and many meetings that we'll have after this, so that we continue to engage them and be able to measure. Right now, we are finishing our National Business Agenda 3, and that's what we'll be doing as a scorecard for this administration that has is just winding up in the next less than 2 months. So Nairobi County, and we've had the history of Nairobi County from our chair, is home to 10% of Kenya's population and also has the largest contribution to the economy and immense potential. Let me give you a few more facts. The Nairobi's output in Kenya shillings is 3.2 trillion, which is 97% equivalent to Kenya's national budget, 2022-2023. As of 2020, Nairobi is estimated to have contributed an average of 27.5% to Kenya's GDP over the last 8 years. If Nairobi were a country, its GDP per capita would be more than $500,700 USD. That's what makes Nairobi. And when people ask, why are you not meeting Machakos, Kitui, Kakamega? It's not that we don't want, we will meet them. But this is where we have to start because of these facts. Compare Nairobi with just a few other counties. Nairobi, Kiambu, Mombasa, Nakuru, and Machakos. If you have, I'll read the numbers just because of ensuring those who are online and may not see it. 27.5% is Nairobi contribution. Kiambu is at 5.9. And then Mombasa is at 5.2. Nakuru at 4.9. Machakos at 3.4. You can see where Nairobi is. So we cannot play with this city. We cannot play with this county. We really have to protect it and make it grow. So repositioning Nairobi as Africa's economic and financial capital is the title of our economic manifesto. The vision of the private sector economic manifesto is to make Nairobi a livable city. So we're looking at 5 areas: competitive city, green city, inclusive city, resilient city, and safe city. So under competitive cities, mobility and transport, integrated urban and land use planning, water, wastewater, and solid waste management, healthcare, safety, security, and disaster risk management, e-government, compliance and enforcement, competitiveness and jobs, social cohesion, and cultural belonging. And I hope Patrick will have a moment to share two of the dreams he had of what we can do around this, because we really need to make this a cultural center. People go to New York in the concrete jungle for tourism. Can you imagine what we have in this city and what we can make it to be a tourist? Then under appendix, which I'll not go into, are the cross-cutting enablers. That's a deepening technology and innovation, digitization skills and capacity building, planning and coordination, cohesion policies and institutions, business and financing partnerships. That's under appendix, so I'll not present today, but it's all there in the documentation. So let me move to transport and mobility, the intervention areas to enhance urban mobility, because a city, it's about movement, goods, people. If we can't move, we can't work. We can't do anything. So the first thing we need to do is technology. Deploy urban mobility solutions and digital technology for traffic monitoring and management. We need to remove our police force, our police service, from flagging vehicles, from getting you to move, and let them go and manage security. And to avoid the extortions and traffic mismanagement, because we know they can only see what they're seeing right there. They can't tell everywhere else, and that creates all the congestion that we see. So establish and fully equip the traffic management center and use of installed CCTV, intelligent transport system for traffic management. Then the integrated national transport plan. We're talking about earlier about an integrated city. So this whole idea of there's a couple here, I build my hotel, there's a couple here, we need to integrate the city. The same thing on the transport side. It can't be the matatus run on their own, the buses run on their own, the trains run on their own. Everything needs to be integrated. And that's where the mass rapid transit system, it was developed many years ago. And those who have been here for the longest in KEPSA, remember 2005, 2006, the many years we spent in the Ministry of Transport working on this. It's about time we get it right. Tanzania has it, Ethiopia has it. I don't know what we are waiting for. And I'm sure the rest of our neighbors are on track. So the bus rapid transit system, commuter rail system, and non-motorized transport system. You know what is so sad, Polycarp? Our 2 former governors, both of them, we saw their photos and videos of them going to benchmark in countries about BRTs. But here we are today, we still don't have. We are hoping our 3rd governor will not do the same and go and benchmark, and we'll still not have a BRT system. Financing. Partner with the private sector to create infrastructure for non-motorized transport in order to address the burgeoning demand for better access in the city. Key infrastructure needed include a network of high-quality walking and cycling facilities, bike sharing programs, bike parking, and storage facilities. Today, if you bike to town, there's nowhere to store your bike. You either move it with you to the office because you'll not find it downstairs. So we can't really bike. Integrated urban and land use planning intervention areas for optimized. Actually didn't go into the economic benefits, but you can read them there in the former slide. But on the integrated urban and land use planning, technology again. We're in the tech generation, we're in the tech revolution. Everything needs to move tech. If we don't move tech, we'll be left behind by the rest of the world. So in addition to the cadastre of Nairobi, deploy integrated tools to combine GIS data and big data analytics from the cadastre, public and private land, recreation and cultural spaces in a centralized way to optimize urban planning. So everything needs to be connected, but everything can be done on tech now. We don't need to do paper like we did before. Land banks, thank you. Land banks, proactively create land banks and avail them to the private sector for industrial and affordable housing development through PPP model. There's a lot of government land. And we know as long as it stays idle, we know what happens. We find that people own private title deeds for those lands. So let's develop it. And we can do together by having those use of those land banks. Then zoning. This is my pet subject because I feel so sad when you travel around the world and you see organized cities and organized towns. And then you come and see the mode of development of where we are going as a city. And whatever happens in Nairobi gets to move to every other town. So you can see every small town that's mushrooming now, mushrooming the same way, disorganized, everything everywhere. And this is where we're saying, first, renovate the depleted recreational spaces and parks. We're glad there's a lot of work that's happening with the national government and the county, but we want to move to everywhere and look at all those depleted spaces. And we've seen you, Polycarp, moving to all the different corners of this city, so I'm sure you've seen those things, so you know exactly where they are. Downtown conversion to create proper walking spaces and outdoor sitting spaces for restaurants. Can you imagine the countries that have winters and bad summers, have eating spaces, and they can't wait for a warmth so they can sit outside? We have the sun 24/7, 365 days. Yet most of our indoor sitting places, if you go into the downtown city, I don't even know how many you can sit outside, if there's any. It's about time we made our city walkable, a for tourists, and to be able to make it generate income for the city and revenue and jobs for the young people. Zoning of residential versus office spaces, industrial shopping areas with different regions of the city and county to avoid congestion and insecurity. Again, as I said, if you move now, any development comes, kiosks come from everywhere, matatu stop everywhere, car washing, they're everywhere. You put a matatu parking, it becomes a car wash. We can't have that. What we're saying, people want to do business and we want to create those jobs, but we have to be organized. I think in this area, maybe the closest here, maybe it's maybe Kileleshwa. I need to know, if I go to Kileleshwa, this is a residential area, this is a shopping area of Kileleshwa, and it has the restaurants, it has the market, it has the car washes, it has everything, but not everywhere, everything and that. And also when we bring up downtown to livelihood and restaurants, people will move away from putting bars and restaurants from the neighborhoods and save the county the nights they have to do going to close bars because of noise and extortions that happen, as we all know. That's what will happen, because we will know that I can walk to the city and go to the bars and go to the restaurants on areas. Look at Kijape Street, which is not so far from us. It's a beautiful area that we can create little restaurants. People can walk. And they can go into the theater there, the hotels. We can do things in this city that will really transform it. And then promotion. Residential areas to be built through the master spatial plan, catering for all spaces, low-income public housing. Government cannot run away from this. There's no way we can build even affordable housing for everyone. There are people among us. As you said, it's an inclusive city. Everyone needs to feel included. Every big city in the world that has moved ahead has public housing. There are people who will never afford, so we have to give them public housing. Then affordable housing for those who can afford a little through PPPs, and then commercial housing for the many who are in this room, and so that everyone is catered for in this city, and we stop the mushrooming of mabatis and everything else that create a hazard for fire, which I'll mention later. Then promotion of a green city, as I mentioned, ensure all restoration of the Nairobi River as part of our sustainable environment plan to turn the Nairobi River and its tributaries as spaces of recreation, concerts, walking along, relocate people squatting, by relocating people squatting on sewer lines, since there are problems in efforts of the Nairobi river cleaning. We want to be able to walk along the river. We need to have the concerts outside. I said we have sun 365 days. Why should we have a concert? I like the hotels, but it's about time we started having concerts outdoors and by the riversides, by the tributaries and all that. Then water and wastewater management. The first thing is access to sufficient quantity and quality water. I don't know if Polycarp remembers this when in his short stint as a deputy governor. Remember the blue trucks? And we had agreed that every time you see a blue truck, take a picture, send it to you so that we deal with them. We pray and we hope you're back there and we will not see the blue trucks again. But we need to be able to develop new sources to increase quantity through dam and an integrated systems to manage urban water supply and wastewater systems and ensure they are handled efficiently and intelligently. Technology again, we can handle everything through technology. Water harvesting. Our rains come and we all complain about flooding our roads. Review city bylaws on water used to reduce borehole drilling rates, allow water harvesting, but the rates in terms of boreholes, it's also not that everyone gets to drill a borehole, like we've seen that's what's happening. Allow water harvesting and introduce a compulsory requirement for contractors to include water harvesting as part of their housing and building designs. Sewage systems, develop sewage systems for proper channeling of wastewater and proper treatment, because some of that water can be recycled and can be used. Adopt smart solutions for wastewater management based on real-time data. Adopt meter zoning system and institute regulatory frameworks to address the water cartels. Those pictures are to show you what we have and where we can go, and it's not rocket sciences, because these are real photos taken from places where this is happening. And what will happen for the private sector overview is supply of reliable and potable water to urban residents alongside wastewater and drainage networks are a basic service that cities need to provide in recent years. Due to climate change impacts, aging infrastructure, and growing water demand due to urbanization and increasing household incomes, smart technologies can be deployed to address these challenges. So again, back to smart technologies. A case study, and I'll give you this. A pilot program on how to use smart devices for drinking water management in Dhaka, Bangladesh. And the reason why we picked Bangladesh is because it's not a very different country from us. Because if I pick a country from Europe, you'll say, you know what, thousands of years of development, they can do that. This is in Bangladesh, could offer insights on this, how technologies was used to monitor their city water network for leaks and to ensure that clean, pressurized water was delivered 24 hours a day to all residents. This enhanced capacity of water utilities and increased the operational of efficiencies and financial stability. So Polycarp, if there's any one country you'll visit for this, Bangladesh, not a European country. For the economic benefits, integrated water and waste management will improve the overall health outcomes and access to water for industries, and over 60% of households who have no continuous access today. And I'm sure many of you seated here buy water. Water of drinking, remember the taps? We used to drink water from the taps. I don't know who anymore does that. So, as I said the other day, it's only in Kenya where we say we used to have, now we don't. Most countries say we didn't have, now we have. So it's about time we started saying we have, we didn't have. This will increase the county revenue and curb the infiltration of water cartels. Again, back to the water cartels. On solid wastewater management, and I'll move here. Circular economy. We are all talking about circular economy, climate change, and all that. Implement county sustainable water management action plan and establish aerobic composting plants to manage organic waste. Look at our waste and what we can do with our bins. It's about time to bring back Kamero. For those who grew up in the city of Nairobi and remember about Kamero, we need to be able to have our garbages collected. I pay my taxes for my garbage to be collected. But today I pay my taxes, then I pay my security guard, I pay for someone to collect my garbage, so we need to move back. I'd rather pay an extra tax and knowing I'll get the services of the city. Waste collection, technology again, adopt smart waste management systems and devices such as smart bins, smart trucks, and a robotic sorting to ensure the sustainability of this sector. Recycling established color-coded waste recyclable and material recovery facilities at the ward level so that we decentralize. Just private sector overview, solid waste management is a documented threat to health and environment. An estimated 2,400 tons of solid waste is generated every day, only 20%, and 20% of which is in plastic.